Ladies and gentlemen, receive my greetings from where you are. I hope you had a nice day, a nice night, and you are good where you are. My name is NJIRU Maura, and I'm a podcaster or a YouTuber. And today we have a high-stake interview here with one of the key lawyers or advocates in Kenya. His name is NDEGWA. As you are aware, Kenya is at crossroad now. There are so many issues which are happening in Kenya, and we have decided to engage people of different walks of life so that we can be able to understand the status of our nation. Tonight, we will be able to speak with Advocate NDEGWA so that he can be able to snap for us some of the critical issues which have been happening in our nation. I hope you will be able to enjoy this show. I want to begin by, first of all, allowing you people to, first of all, understand who Advocate NDEGWA is. I hope you people, you have interacted with NDEGWA through social media, especially due to some of the high-stake cases which he does in the Republic of Kenya. One of the biggest cases he did in Kenya was during the Waiguru impeachment. He was there. During Sonko impeachment, he was there. And also during Gachagua impeachment, he was there. To some extent, it looks like NDEGWA has become an expert of impeachment defense or exploration. And I think in also the same way, he has also been a person who has been doing a lot in the public space as a civil rights defendant. As you are aware today, he was very busy looking for Okiya Omtatah. He will explain to us where they have reached on that issue of Okiya Omtatah and some other people, I don't know how many, had been arrested today for staging peaceful protests. So we will hear from him about what has happened today. There was a maandamano Monday today, and it was really involving. So among many other things, which Advocate NDEGWA will handle here, I hope that you'll be able to enjoy. So let me begin by, first of all, introducing one of the most important cases where NDEGWA was involved 4 years ago, the impeachment of Governor Anne Waiguru.
The Senate committee hearing Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru's impeachment, that Cleopa Malala, says the committee will ensure a fair process as it wound up its hearings. Earlier today, a witness told the committee how the county boss has been awarding tenders to her closest allies. And as NTV's Silas Apollo reports, Waiguru, in her closing submissions, pleaded her innocence, saying the impeachment was because of her support for the BBI. Here is Silas Apollo.
Did you award as a joint venture?
Taking the stand before the Senate committee hearing the impeachment of Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, Joseph Otieno, a director of supply chain management, revealed the dirty tricks used by the county in awarding tenders to the governor's friends and proxies. Top of the list is Pauline Kamau, said to be behind some of the most questionable tenders. Kamau worked with Waiguru at the Ministry of Devolution. He's said to be the current chairperson of the Tender Evaluation Committee.
Pauline Kamau chaired tenders and evaluation committees that dealt with waterworks for South.
Okay. Hakuna sauti. I'm hearing Catherine Wanjiru asking for the voice. Guys, can you hear the voice? Because I'm shocked. I can see everything. Can you hear my voice, people? Or it's the video which you can't hear, guys? Yeah, we need to know that quickly before the lawyer is here. So, Catherine, what is having issues? Is it the video or my voice? So please let's know that. Maybe listen in and allow me understand. So this is an impeachment case for Waiguru. I wanted to show you where Advocate NDEGWA started.
South Ngariama. Pauline Kamau chaired the one of Kagio Matatu parking works. Pauline Kamau chaired the one of assorted UPVC pipes of Kerera Water Project, that is Hamfield, and many others.
Others were Sela Bogonko, also a former employee of the Ministry of Devolution and the current Chief of Staff in Kirinyaga, as well as Wayne Gishira, an ICT advisor. Waiguru is also said to have awarded tenders to Velocity Limited, a company that did not meet the requirements for the award of a tender.
At that particular time of giving your professional opinion, were you in possession of the documents relating?
That is NJIRU. So that was one of his first appearance in a high-stake case. He was a lawyer for the Kirinyaga Assembly. So that is NJIRU. So that is the man we are waiting for. So you can listen in, and there are a number of reasons which have made us to look for him. It seems to be on the side of the people. It seems not to be a man who only wants to stand on the popular side. To some extent, he looks to be having his own principles. So that is why we are honored to host him here tonight.
To Velocity, or you just give a professional opinion? Did you peruse the file relating to that document, that company?
I can confirm I did.
Did you confirm that the company was registered in 2017 and bidded in 2018?
Yes.
And then you went on to give a professional opinion in that respect?
And is cognizant for details, is very sharp. I think he is one of the person who has reinvented the closed examination. I think this closed examination started with NDEGWA. I think he is the architect of this closed examination, whereby you lump up many questions with an intent of wanting to see if the witness is truthful to the call. This closed examination was I think he was the first Kenyan to be able to do it. Then we also saw it during Gachagua impeachment with the lawyer Elisha. So we saw the trajectory of that. So for me, I think NDEGWA started that trajectory of closed examination. And this is not what we call closed examination, where you subject a witness to many questions, and then the witness should be able to collate himself in all the questions. So at least on that, he redesigned that in Kenyan context. Closed examination has been done elsewhere in other countries, but this was the first case where I saw a serious closed examination being done at a public display. Go ahead.
And confirming that the company has experience of 5 years and 3 years audited accounts?
As a joint venture, yes.
Give us the joint venture agreement.
But the governor denied the allegations, linking her impeachment to her support of the BBI process. In her closing submissions, Waiguru also accused the leadership of the county assembly, led by Majority Leader James Murango, of blackmail after she stopped extending favors to the House, like foreign trips to Italy and New York.
My stand has made me enemies with people of deep influence and deep pockets, inside and outside my county, which is a matter of public record, resulting in endless attacks on my person because of my support for the BBI and the handshake.
We are going to retreat and make a fair ruling based on the evidence.
The 11-member committee now retreats to write its report, which will be considered on the floor of the Senate on Friday, 2:30 p.m. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Yeah. Okay. That was the first interview, or no, that was the first case done by NDEGWA. He well represented Kirinyaga County, and we have seen him a number of times, Bwana NDEGWA going against the grain. Yeah, not necessarily being on the popular side or where the shots are being called. We have even seen him a number of times, even going against what the government is proposing as per that particular time. I think we also saw him during Gachagua impeachment. Let me see if I can be able to get something from him, because he was also a lawyer, Gachagua impeachment. So that, yeah, we are just waiting for our speaker. He will be here shortly. So you remember NDEGWA was the one who was greeting the KEMSA CEO. So that was also another high-level interaction, where we saw a thorough cross-examination. And I think even young lawyers are learning a lot from NDEGWA. I think this exercise is good. This is a man of the moment.
Joined. What was the status?
The tender had been terminated.
The tender had been terminated. Do you know of any company that is associated with the deputy president that succeeded?
This is another cross-examination being done by NDEGWA. So you can see how he is also handling the witness here. So NDEGWA does this, then Elisha comes and does it extremely well too. So this is also another redesign of cross-examination.
In this particular tendering process?
For purposes of...
Do you know or you do not know?
Yes, Shobika had been recommended for award, but since it was cancelled, did not proceed.
Was the award granted to Shobika?
No.
Do you know why the award was not granted?
Yes, I know.
Yes?
Because Global Fund do a pre-award review of every evaluation of Global Fund funded tenders. And after doing a pre-award review, they did not agree with the technical evaluation committee that had evaluated the tender and recommended for cancellation of the tender.
Thank you. You've answered. So it's as a result of the review of all the bids that culminated into the cancellation of the tender, correct?
Yes.
And how many companies had bidded in that particular process?
I cannot remember, but maybe 9 or 7, I cannot remember.
You cannot remember because you never participated, yes? Yes or no, Mr. Witness?
If I get the record, I would remember.
And so show him the records. Okay. He has it. Show him his affidavit in volume 1. In that volume 1, that is at page, Honorable Senators, the National Assembly volume 1 at page 67 and 68. Did you indicate the companies that participated in that process?
I did not indicate the companies that...
You chose to conveniently refuse to indicate them, correct? Correct or not correct? I don't need an explanation.
Not correct.
Why didn't you indicate the companies that participated in that particular process?
My affidavit.
Your affidavit has explained.
The concept of cross-examination. I think even lawyers like NDEGWA, they have even made even these people call themselves witnesses to be very serious with themselves before they start thinking of even representing anyone in the case. Because if you're a witness and you hear people like Akina NDEGWA are there, you have to think twice. Because I think they have been able to gauge out some of the deficiencies And I think they have been able to help the public spaces in understanding what are the down cases, because some cases have not been very material, and through their expertise, we have been able to understand cases which are a bit dubious, or cases which have been engineered for political expedition. Like this Gachagua case, though it was more of a political episode, the truth of the matter is that they helped us to understand. They brought the information to the public that the details were not there. But I think the state still wanted it to proceed, so we cannot blame them. But at least they brought the information to us.
My affidavit is premised on...
Okay, I know your affidavit.
Yes.
I have read it several times, but my question is very specific. Why did you leave out the other companies that participated in the process?
For purposes of my affidavit, I did not find it necessary to
Never thought it
include.
necessary. Now, confirm that Shobika company was never ever awarded the tender.
The tender was cancelled.
Tender was cancelled. Did the Republic of Kenya lose any money as a result of the award not being granted to Shobika?
Yes, it did.
Did the Deputy President have anything to do with it? Did the Deputy President have anything to do with it?
I wouldn't say the Deputy President.
I'm asking, we are here because of the Deputy President. Did he have anything to do with it?
A company related to
I'm asking, did he have anything to do with it? It's a simple question. Yes or no?
I already have...
Yes, and you'll furnish me with an answer.
I've said yes, because the company that is associated with him had been irregularly awarded.
Had been irregularly awarded. Do you know that this matter was subject of investigation by Parliament?
Yes, I am.
Did you participate in that investigation?
Yes.
Honorable Senators, refer with me to page 183, volume 3 of the Deputy President's bundle. Volume 3, Honorable Senators. That is the report. Will go with me to page 220. At page 220, Mr. Witness.
Can I get the document?
Give him something. Give him the copy. You can get it for him. Volume 3. Page 220. Can you see, confirm that those were the companies that participated in that particular tender, yes?
17 bidders.
At page 220.
Yes, there are some 17 bidders.
How many are they?
17.
Go to page 221 and you read, can you see where it is written 100?
Yes.
Can you read out that statement?
In its report dated 25th April 2023, Global Fund noted that KEMSA had failed to apply evaluation criteria consistently to all bidders, and that none of the bidders met the minimum requirements.
None of the bidders met the minimum?
requirements.
How many bidders did not meet the minimum requirement?
For purpose of this report, what the Global Fund is talking about are the 17.
Or the 17. And therefore Shobika was not an exception, correct? Shobika was not an exception. It never qualified, correct?
Yes.
Now look at where we have page at paragraph 105. Yes, can you see where we have Roman B? So we have B. Can you see B? 105, paragraph 105B. Yes, can you read what B says?
The Global Fund document reported that the bid bond for Shobika Impex was not paginated, and the management of KEMSA argued that the bid bond was not part of the bid, but was rather an accompaniment.
What is that? What does that mean?
I think
not thinking, reading and understanding.
It means, and I had said exactly the same, that this document was not submitted as part of the tender document, but was brought in as ordinary mail, while in normal procurement, bid documents
Can
should
you look
be
at
part
paragraph
of the procurement.
Can you go to page 222 and look at paragraph 106?
Notwithstanding KEMSA reservation, in the letter dated 4th May, the acting director procurement recommended the termination of a process.
Yes.
The CEO approved on the 5th, and termination was communicated to all the bidders.
So there was a termination of the bidding process, correct?
Yes.
As a result of non-responsiveness of all the bids, correct? As a result of non-responsiveness.
Yes, after Global Fund differed with the KEMSA Technical Evaluation Committee.
Did the Deputy President have anything to do with that?
Yeah, I think that one is enough for that. Yeah, that one was meant to help us understand how NDEGWA was involved. I think today he was also involved with Okiya Omtata. So let me see if there is anything which has been published about so I think I just saw something online showing that he was with kulikuwa na maandamano leo. We had maandamano Monday. Okiya Omtata was seen. This is NDEGWA. Let me just I want to show the reason why our lawyer lated today, so that he was a bit occupied in the day. Ameshinda akifanya hii kazi, mtamuona hapa. He is a man of many things.
Hilo sasa tuelekee katika kituo cha polisi cha Gigiri ambapo mwanahabari wetu David Mudhoka anafuatilia kukamatwa kwa seneta wa Busia Okiya Omtata. Mudhoka, kwa sasa hali iko namna gani baada ya kukamatwa kwake Omtata mapema jioni hii?
Lofty, bila shaka tuko katika kituo cha polisi cha Gigiri ambapo kila dalili kufikia sasa zinaonyesha kuwa huenda seneta wa Busia Okiya Omtata akalala ndani kwenye kijibaridi cha seli moja katika kituo hiki cha polisi, na hii ni baada yake kukamatwa leo mchana katikati ya jiji la Nairobi na maafisa wa polisi alipokuwa akiandamana na wanaharakati dhidi ya visa vya utekaji nyara wa vijana ambao wamekuwa wakisuta na kuikashifu serikali haswa kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Na baada yake kukamatwa, alipelekwa mwanzo katika kituo cha polisi cha Central kabla yake kufululizwa kwa usiri mkubwa katika kituo hiki cha Gigiri ambapo kwa sasa yupo, na tumeshuhudia mawakili mbalimbali wakikuja kumwona pamoja na wanaharakati, na wanatueleza kuwa Okiya Omtata hawajaweza kumwona Okiya Omtata. Labda tuchukue kauli ya wawili tu kwa haraka. Ninaye wakili hapa NDEGWA ambaye ni wakili wake Okiya Omtata. Kwa kifupi tu, labda mnaelezwa vipi, mmejaribu kumwona labda, na mnaambiwa nini haswa na maafisa wa polisi hapa?
Unfortunately tumepata polisi hapa ambaye anasema kwamba ni mdogo wa OCPD katika hiki kituo cha Gigiri, na hajatupatia ujumbe wowote ule ambao tunaweza tukatangazia Wakenya unaohusisha mteja wetu. Amekataa mpaka mteja anywe dawa, wamekataa kusema ama Okiya Omtata yuko hapa, wamekataa kusema ama amewekwa katika OB. Kwa hivyo tunavyosema hapa ni speculation tu kwamba yuko hapa, na polisi wamekataa kutupatia any details in respect kwa status ya Okiya Omtata.
Labda amekamatiwa nini?
Hatujui, hawajasema, hata hawajatuongelesha kuhusu hayo maneno. Tukimuuliza anasema lazima apatiwe ruhusa kutoka orders from above. Hata dawa zake ziko hapa. Hizi ni dawa. Na wamekataa anywe dawa hizi. Ziko hapa nyingi sana. All these medications. They have refused our client to take these medications. So what we are simply saying is that we cannot ascertain that Okiya Omtata has been arrested. We treat this as a case of abduction, because they have not booked him in any OB within the police station. So if you're not booked in a police station, in an OB, what else then can we say? You have been abducted. And we want to inform Kenyans that your Senator Okiya Omtata, the Senator for Busia, has been abducted by state agents.
Asante. Labda tu kwa kifupi, nina mwanaharakati, manake tumezungumza na wakili tu sekunde tu 10 hapa, naye Morara Kebaso. Ni kipi mnaambiwa hapa?
Kwanza kabisa ningependa kusema kwamba Mheshimiwa Okiya Omtata ana haki yake kikatiba kuandamana, bora hajajiami kwa silaha yoyote, na aliandamana leo kukataa mambo ya utekaji nyara. Mpaka sasa hatujaweza kumuona. Ni mzee wa miaka 60 ambaye anafaa kunywa dawa, hajakula chakula, hana sweta, mahala baridi, na hawa polisi wanaendelea kumtendea mambo ya unyama kwa sababu huyu ni mzee ambaye anahitaji heshima, na kama ameshikwa basi apewe haki zake kama Mkenya yeyote. Kwa hivyo tuna huzuni sana sisi kama wanaharakati ambao tunafanya kazi na Okiya Omtata kwa karibu kabisa kujaribu kuleta uongozi bora katika nchi yetu. Tuna huzuni kubwa kwa jinsi ambavyo polisi wameweza kumfanyia seneta wa Busia Okiya Omtata, na tunasema mpaka sasa hajaweza kuandikishwa kwenye kitabu cha OB, na hiyo ni utekaji nyara, kwa sababu sheria zetu zinasema kwamba mtu akishikwa aandikishwe katika kitabu cha OB, na mpaka sasa hatuwezi kusema kikamilifu kama ameshikwa ama ametekwa nyara.
Asante sana. Bila shaka tuzidi kuzungumza na mawakili wengine. Tumepita kambi hapa kuona kwamba labda mwendo wa saa 6 hivi au kabla mwendo wa saa 6 ataweza kuachiliwa na pia tuweza kupata dawa zake, na kwa hivyo tu mtazamaji wetu wazidi tukusubiri, maana tuko hapa kuweza kuwajuza kinachojiri kuhusiana na kukamatwa na kutiwa ndani kwake Okiya Omtata, seneta wa Busia.
Ya wanakinzana na hiyo maneno. Mumeona bwana NDEGWA hapo. Yeye ndiye wakili mkuu wa bwana Okiya Omtata. Leo wameshindwa wakizungushwa. They were not able to get access to him. They are claiming that the arrest was equivalent to abduction. Yeah, abduction, it is usually because of the manner of how somebody is carried. Yeah, so bwana NDEGWA ameshinda hapo. I don't know why the Kenyan government is still trying to make people angry the more. I don't know the reason why they are looking for the rage from Kenyans. I think people have been very restrained in what they are doing and being very patient with the government. But it looks like the Kenyan government, the government of the day, is looking for trouble, or they love trouble. That is what I would say. So other than I have seen a video circulating which were showing some other people who are also abducted. I saw some young men walikuwa wanaoneshana. I think wakiwa somewhere in self, somebody and shared with me that video. Let me see if I can show you. So hizo arrest zimefanywa, they were quite many. Haikuwa arrest moja. A friend of mine just sent me that video. These people. Yeah, so that was the explanation. So that was a group which was abducted together with Okiya Mtata. Yeah, they look to be like close to 25 men through the count which I did. So I hope they will continue being safe. Although they not, I did not see a chaotic maandamano in all the places. I think the Kenyan police have that concept of intimidating people with an aim that you cannot do a peaceful protest. That is something which always is happening with us. Like we cannot do a peaceful protest in our country. So there are so many things which these people are doing, and I think citizens are not happy with them. So we will keep pushing forward towards good governance in our country. We cannot just be complacent. Tuna relax tu hivi, tunasema ati vitu zitajifanya. Wananchi wenyewe ndio wanatafutanga demokrasia. Demokrasia ikikosekana, wananchi ndio wanaitafuta. Yeah, thank you very much. I can see our esteemed lawyer has arrived. Yeah, I want to bring him to the studio now. How are you, Bwana Ndegwa NJIRU?
I'm well. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Habari yako? I hope umeshinda vizuri. Tumekuwa tukiangalia ile mambo imetendeka. Kwanza tusalimie.
Good evening, our listeners and our viewers. You'll pardon me, I'm just seated on the couch because I've just arrived this evening. Tumetoka kusaidia wale watu ambao walikuwa wameshikwa wakati wakipigania uhuru, na ndio tumeingia sasa nyumbani. So I just had a glass of water and a glass of juice from my lovely wife, Lauren, and the children. Ndio tuweze kuongea na wananchi, na nimewaambia niko na
Yeah, I'm sorry. It seems we have lost Wakili, but I will still wait for him to come again. So maybe I'll just remove him from the studio, and then. So Bwana Wakili, try entering again. Just click the link and come again. It should enter. Yeah. Finally, our Wakili is here. So we are now ready for the talk of the day. I know he is a bit tired, so I want us to handle this issue very quickly, so that good. Let me bring him again.
I think somebody called and interrupted the proceedings.
Okay, maybe you could be forced to do an aeroplane mode for a while.
Oh, it will work.
Okay, maybe you. I don't know, but
let me try.
Okay.
I don't know that I'll access you also. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, that's perfect because I've done the airplane mode now.
Yeah, now airplane mode, they will not be able to call you at this particular time, so you'll be able to have a good time.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure that I've also learned something.
Lazima tuelimishane. So my esteemed listeners and the viewers are here. They were really waiting for you, and thank you for getting this time. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. So we like I said, I just arrived in the house right now,
like 20 minutes ago, because what has happened today is that people went out to the streets to protest against the impunity and the oppressiveness of Mr. William Ruto and his extractive regime. So people are out protesting because that's the only alternative voice that is now remaining in this republic. Remember, all the institutions in this country, they have been taken hostage by Mr. William Ruto. And therefore, there is no institution that is functioning in this country. And now people have resolved to get to the streets as the only alternative way of holding government to account. So they have today arrested Senator Omtata. They arrested him in the afternoon. They first took him to Central Police Station, and they later whisked him away. So we were informed that he was held up somewhere in Gigiri Police Station. And we went there, and we have been there for quite a couple of hours, and we have not been allowed to access our client. Equally, our client has not been allowed to access his medications, which we were in possession of. So as we speak this afternoon, comrades, the country is in dire need of serious surgery and serious political surgery. So we are not free in this country. Our institutions are not free. We ourselves as citizens are not free. When you speak and express yourself in whatsoever manner that you do, Mr. William Ruto is making you a target and his goons. So comrades, even as you stay there in Minnesota and in the USA, remember that Kenya is not free. We have lost our freedoms. We have lost our rights. We have lost our sovereignty. We have lost our institutions. We are almost about to lose ourselves. And therefore, that is the current status if I was to describe the country as at now. So over to you, Mwaura.
Okay, thank you, Bwana NDEGWA, our esteemed lawyer. Maybe I want to, first of all, I have a number of things I want us to handle because I know you also need to go address. But maybe before I handle that, I wanted to say the reason why many of us here requested for you, because actually I usually get a recommendation from people, is because they feel that you are standing on the right side of history.
Thank you.
There is a lot of collaboration in our government, which is happening. There are some people who are even crossing over to Mr. William Ruto, and we have not had people like you trying to cross over. And we hope you remain that way all along. So number one, I want us to begin by handling the issue of the rule of law. As a lawyer, Bwana NDEGWA, I know that rule of law is something which should be taken very seriously in any country. Can you try to tell us what are Kenyans going to do because the executive has decided to obliterate the rule of law in Kenya? So what do we do?
Thank you, Mwaura, and thank you for the listeners who are listening to us this evening. I must first of all say that we find ourselves in a very unfortunate situation because we are dealing with a rogue government led by Mr. William Ruto. The mistake that we did as Kenyans has cost us our freedoms. The mistake of electing William Ruto has cost us our country. The mistake that we did by electing Mr. William Ruto has cost us our sovereignty. It has cost us our freedoms. It has cost us our rights. It has cost us our pride. It has cost us our economy. It's a very expensive mistake that we did, that we regret to date, because we never expected that the situation would get this worse this fast. But I had anticipated it, because I never supported William Ruto. I have never supported him. I have never had any liking for him, because I know that Mr. William Ruto is not a person who believes in the rule of law. He's not a person who believes in our constitution. He does not believe in constitutionalism. And therefore, I was wary when I saw Kenyans warming up towards him. Remember, Mr. William Ruto is one of those individuals who opposed this constitution. If he opposed the constitution, how then could he have the love for it? How could he implement what he himself opposed? But unfortunately, we find ourselves in this situation this evening. We find ourselves in a situation where the head of state has never supported and has never believed in our constitution. Yet he's supposed to protect it, yet he's supposed to uphold it, yet he's supposed to implement it, yet he's supposed to make reference to it in his endeavor to govern this country. But I cannot simply say that it's only one individual in this country who does not believe in the constitution. The majority of us believes in it. We are working for it. We are subordinate to our constitution. We are subordinate to our laws. Most of the Kenyans who are on the streets today, who are on the streets in June, believes that this country's constitution can work for us. We believe that we can cling to the constitution. And therefore, that is why today people woke up, went out to march in the streets, a march for freedom. We are marching to free ourselves from the tyranny of Mr. William Ruto. We are marching to free ourselves from the dictatorship of Mr. William Ruto. We are marching to free ourselves from the globalists who have held us captive. We are marching to free ourselves from the harsh taxation that has been introduced by Mr. William Ruto. We are marching to free ourselves from the harsh economic policies being perpetuated and propagated by Mr. William Ruto. Yes, we are marching. We are marching to free ourselves from the cry that our people are crying. We are marching to free ourselves from the bondage that Mr. William Ruto has empowered us in. And that is why Kenyans have resolved to march. We are having a march for freedom. People have decided that they are not going to cry anymore. People have decided that they are going to act and take actions to liberate and free themselves from the shackles that have been bestowed upon us by Mr. William Ruto. Yes, we are marching to free ourselves. Kenyans have agreed unanimously and in one voice and in one accord that we have only one enemy in the name of Mr. William Ruto. So we are going to march and free ourselves from the bondage that Mr. William Ruto has placed on our shoulders. As we speak, people are dying in their homes. I have had the opportunity of meeting various superintendents and matrons of various hospitals, both private hospitals and public hospitals. And one thing is common in all these hospitals. When the NHIF was revoked and a new system was introduced, the outpatient wing of all the hospitals died and collapsed. Why? Because the system that was introduced is not capable of meeting the demands of the patients. Some people are opting to stay at home because they cannot meet, they are not able to pay for their hospital bills. And so what are the matrons and the superintendents telling us? They are telling us that the mortuaries are receiving more bodies of dead people from their homes than the wards. If you go to most of the facilities, both public and private facilities, the outpatient wing is vacant, is empty. That is the tragedy this country finds itself in. You know, comrades, you do not understand what we are going through. We are undergoing a lot of pains. Our people are suffering. So we are saying that we must liberate ourselves from this kind of oppressive and extractive regime that has come up with extractive and oppressive policies. And people have decided to convert themselves into freedom fighters. So when I speak to you, this evening, I speak to you as a freedom fighter. We are fighting to free ourselves from Mr. William Ruto's policies. Look at what is happening in the farming, in the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector has been captured by the globalists. I tell you, comrades, as you listen to me this evening, we do not have a functional and a free agricultural sector. Our seed sovereignty has been captured by the globalists. And so when we are fighting to free ourselves, we are also fighting to free ourselves from the globalists. We are also fighting to free ourselves from hunger. If I tell you what is the kind of the legislation that is happening in our parliament, parliament is on day-to-day basis legislating very oppressive legislations. For example, they have legislated something they are called the AFA bill, that is Agricultural and Food Authority Act, which is an act that regulates on how farming of either cash crops or food crops is to be done. We are no longer doing and relying on the subsistence farming that we used to rely on. Our seed sovereignty has been compromised. Our seed sovereignty has been stolen by the globalists. And they have not just stolen the seed sovereignty, they have even stolen the manner and the means in which our animals propagate themselves. Today, a legislation is pending in Parliament, the Animals Bill. And what is it seeking to do? It is seeking to outlaw our normal traditional ways of propagating and multiplying and reproducing our animals. That is to mean, if you have a chicken in your house and you have a cock in your house, that cock cannot serve your chicken if the cock is not licensed. You cannot sell your eggs in the market unless you are licensed. You cannot sell your kales, your sukuma wiki, your hamburgers in the market unless you are licensed, as and when that legislation comes into force. Your bull will not be serving your cow unless you are licensed. Your buck will not be serving your sheep, your goats, unless you are licensed. That is a tragedy Mr. William Ruto has invited us into. And therefore, when I tell you that I'm a freedom fighter, I am not fighting for political freedom. I am not just fighting for political freedom. We are fighting both for political, social, and economic freedoms. We are fighting to free ourselves from globalism. We are fighting to free ourselves and make sure that our traditional food sovereignty survives the globalists. And therefore, comrades, when I speak about freedom fighting, when I say that I'm a freedom fighter, I know what I am speaking. I know what is happening in this country. And I believe that you share in our pains. Let me take you to another level, because today we are to speak about the state of the nation. As we speak, we have been given a condition by Mr. William Ruto's rogue regime that our children will not open up in January for school unless they are registered in this dysfunctional health scheme that phased out the NHIF. So we are being told that unless we register our children with the SHIF and SHA, they are not going to join either Form 1 or they're not going to be registered in their schools anymore. That is the kind of the oppression that this country is facing. That's the manner in which our freedoms and our rights have been trampled on by Mr. William Ruto's rogue regime. Mr. William Ruto has said, and he has completely phased out the help that we used to know. Today, you are being considered for funding by government on the basis of bonga points, on the basis of the bundles that you own. They come to your house, they see how many goats you have, how many dogs, how many cats, how many ducks, and you are categorized on that basis. So we are having a big cross-section of society. 75% of our generation is not able to access either universities, is not able to access university education. Where is this nation going to if we are not able to educate our generation? So, comrades, when you hear me speak about freedom fighting, that is the kind of the freedom we are fighting for. So, comrades, this country is sick. Our nation is ailing. We are now in the ICU. Soon, we shall be in the morgue. If anything is not done, and done as a matter of urgency, to redeem this country, you'll not find any place to call home. Let me bring you to another aspect about the manner in which Mr. William Ruto has dictated that our cows must be vaccinated. And as he insists about the vaccination of our cows, comrades, I want to state that there is no declaration of an outbreak in this country. Let me just ask for some tangawizi. Mama Ndego nisaidie na tangawizi. I need to
As
sip
you wait
some.
for that, allow me ask
Yes.
you a question so that you can tie up with that. Just give me 1 minute and then so as you get that, you also rest for 1 minute. Now you have indicated that our country is in ICU, which is true. It is confirmable. We have deteriorated in everything. But now we can see there are some people who have decided to agree with the government. We can see even perennial politicians in Kenya even saying that they are going to help the government so that they can help the government to work. So, for instance, we have had, without mentioning personalities, for instance, we have had our previous political actors, Mr. Raila Odinga and Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, for instance, they have said that they have given Mr. Ruto a green light to govern. Are they aware of what we are undergoing through, or they have just decided to put a veil? Because it's a big question which our listeners are asking tonight. Thank you.
Oh, let me tell you that the success of our fight for liberation, the success for fight for our freedom, is not going to be measured with the yardstick of Raila Odinga or Mr. Kenyatta. The majority of the people have resolved to liberate this country, to join the movement and liberate this country. So those are just individuals who do not represent the larger cross-section of the society who believes that this country must be liberated. Just to answer that further, even after those appointments, the people in the mountain do not recognize them. They do not associate with them. They do not affiliate to them. They do not, they do not feel attached to government. Why? Because this government was not constituted on the basis of how many Kikuyus you populate the government with. It was not constituted on the basis of how many Luyas or Luos will join government. It was constituted on the basis of a very clear message of economic revolution, the bottom-up economic model. It resonated with the people, and the people believed it, and the government has abandoned it and turned against its own people who voted for it. So the success, the ability of our success to redeem this country is not going to be measured on the basis of where does Raila Odinga stand in all these matters. Where does Uhuru Kenyatta stand? It will succeed on the basis of where do I, NDEGWA, as an individual, stand? Do I agree with the policies being propagated by government? Do the majority of the Kenyans agree? That will be the basis upon which this liberation and this freedom will be won. Permit me to say that Uhuru Kenyatta, if he does not change his ways, people will stop associating with him. Remember, he warned us against Mr. William Ruto. And all his warnings and all his prophecies have now come true. How then would he associate with a person whom he warned us against? The majority of Kenyans had begun appreciating what His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta had told them. So it would be a betrayal of the struggle if he was to join hands with Mr. William Ruto. Of course, Mr. Raila Odinga has already betrayed the struggle. He has abandoned the struggle at the time when the struggle needed him most for his own selfish interest and gains. What does the country stand to gain with him becoming the chairman of AU, the commission? Will it add bread and butter on my dinner table? So we of course feel betrayed by them, but Kenyans have recognized the need to identify new emerging leadership. Don't you forget that His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka has stood very strong and opposing this government. He is one sense of direction that people are looking at. He has stayed very strong, very clear on what he stands for, very clear on what he means. I had an engagement with him, and being a lawyer, the only question I put to him, what do you think His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka is ailing this country? And he gave me the prescription. He said that gave me the diagnosis. He said that what is ailing this country, or has made this country to go to the dogs, or has made this country to go to ICU, is that there is a serious breakdown of the rule of law. And then the question I put to him, how do you plan to do and to deal with that challenge as and when you become president? The answer that he gave me, the answer that His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka gave me was that I am going to restore back the Constitution. And why is it important? And then I agreed with him. And I told him, Your Excellency, if that is the path you're going to choose, you have correctly diagnosed the disease and correctly prescribed the remedy and the medicine. And therefore, comrades, if we are to restore this country back to the rule of law, all these anomalies and madness that we experience with Mr. William Ruto will be a thing of the past. You'll not hear any abduction or extrajudicial killings because people will be arrested and taken through the due process if they have committed any wrong. But what wrong do you commit when the Constitution guarantees you the freedom of expression? What offense do you commit when the Constitution and other international instruments guarantees you the freedom of consciousness? What offense do you commit if today I imagine that Mr. William Ruto is lying somewhere in a coffin? You cannot convict me for my consciousness. That is a freedom that is guaranteed to me by the Constitution. I must not think like any other person. And that is why in our penal code, there is no such an offense called imagining Mr. William Ruto in a coffin. There is no such kind of offense because the same would be in contravention of our Constitution. So, comrades, all what we need to do is to join hands. Those who believe that the country needs to be liberated must join the freedom fighters movement to fight and free this country. Last evening, my mom did ask me, what am I fighting for? I told her, I'm fighting for myself, my family, and my children. I am not free. If I am not free, my children are not free as well. Most of us are being compelled to take our children through alternative mechanisms of education. Why? Because the current education system, which we are paying for through our nose and the taxes, has collapsed. If government was working, you'll not be able to see, you'll not be seeing and experiencing these mushrooming education institutions. So, comrade, that is the status and the reason why we have converted ourselves into freedom fighters.
Okay, thank you, Dego. I want to bring you with the right a little bit. Many of the people who are listening us here, they are a bit independent thinkers. Majority of them, they are still exploring many Kenyans who want to become presidents. There is a question. You have brought the issue of Kalonzo Musyoka, who seemed he could vie for presidency in this coming election. And there have been a number of places whereby some people have not felt very comfortable with him. So maybe would you take this time also to help us understand, other than what we have talked about constitution, when it comes to robust decision making, has Kalonzo Musyoka reached a level whereby his decision making is so strong that he cannot be swayed by anything? Maybe people want to hear that. Maybe like, how robust is Kalonzo Musyoka when it comes to the decision making?
I think we are seeing a Kalonzo Musyoka who has come of age and who has correctly diagnosed the problem that is ailing this country. I have had several sittings with him, and I'm not here to vouch for him. And one thing that I have always done is to ask him to commit to me how true he is to the cause. And what he has severally told me is that we are not going to betray our people. So that is one of the confidence that I have in him. And I say I'm not here to vouch for him, but I'm here to speak about the good things and the good deeds coming from our leaders. Remember, I'm also an independent thinker. I am not beholden to anyone. I am not beholden to any political party. I am not beholden to any authority. I am NJIRU, the person you know to speak his mind as and when
okay, I agree on that.
calls for.
Let me
Allow
explain
me to answer that question further and say that a leader will emerge from the 56 million Kenyans. It may be me, it may be you, Mwaura, it may be another person listening to us, it may be Kalonzo Musyoka, or any other person.
Yeah.
What we need in this country, it does not matter who governs us. What we need in this country is a person who is going to commit to restore the country back to rail, back to the path of the rule of law, back to the path of our constitution. If we guarantee that the law will be supreme, it doesn't matter whether you are a mad person, you are whoever you may be, you'll be guided by the law. And therefore, all what we need to do is to look at our constitution. And allow me to say something small. It is one thing to have a good constitution and another thing to have that constitution working for us. Permit me to mention that the 1963 constitution was abused by Jomo Kenyatta. The 1963 constitution was abused by Mzee Moi. He took people to detention without trial, torture chambers, people were killed, corruption was rampant, name them. But remember, there came a gentleman from Modaya, and may the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki. Kibaki ruled this country with the same constitution Moi ruled us with. He ruled us with the same constitution Kenyatta used. But we saw a different leadership. Why? Because we need to couple a good constitution with a good person, a person with mannerism, a patriot, a person who loves the rule of law, and a person who believes in it. And that is why Kibaki, even with the constitution that was used to torture Kenyans, led Kenyans into prosperity. Mr. William Ruto, on the other hand, has a very good constitution, but people are being abducted. People are being killed. Our cows are being vaccinated by force by fire. Our children are not going to school. The health system has collapsed. Our roads are killing us on a day-to-day basis because there is no maintenance. Our police force has become corrupt. The judiciary is dead. The democratic complementary institutions that we created are dead. Yet, William Ruto has one of the best progressive constitutions in the world. So it matters most as to who is the president.
Okay, good. NDEGWA, let me bring you on board, because I also want us to discuss briefly the Gen Z revolution and the coalitions which could come up, because we are aware if we have to go to any election, and I don't see a signature of any election because Mr. William Ruto has refused to bring IBC on board. But let me bring you to an issue which has been very serious in Kenya. Is this issue of Gen Z revolution. Maybe can you help us to understand, does it mean that the young people of Kenya have understood their rights? That is why they are rising up beyond even the other generation? Or why do you think Gen Zs are unsettled in our country?
Well, every generation has played its role in the path of liberating and freeing this country. So we would not say that the Gen Zs are the only persons who are responsible for the reforms that we are seeing today. Remember, our forefathers fought for freedom. We got independence. The independence brought a new constitution. It brought the question of democracy. We got, all those milestones have been attained by various cross-section of generations. And therefore, each generation has been complementing the other. Each generation has been complementing the predecessor. Our fathers complemented the Mau Mau. We are now we are now complementing the second liberation. The Gen Zs are now, the second generation brought about the new constitution. The new constitution brought about Article 37 that allows them to go to the streets and demonstrate. So you see, we owe it to all these generations who have fought to make sure that Kenya gets where it is today. So we cannot simply say that the Kenya has had a new dawn with the emergence of the Gen Zs. They are doing what their generation is supposed to be doing. Remember, the Gen Zs are calling out for accountability and transparency and the rule of law. All those principles are premised on our constitution. So you do not expect that the Gen Zs would then be going to fight for a new constitution, because another generation that was previous fought for it. So for the Gen Z now, it's for them to fight, to see to it that the constitution is realized, it is implemented. That is why their call is for accountability. So it is not true to say that the Gen Zs have done it alone and have done it all. We commend them, we are behind them, and it must be a situation whereby all wheels are rolling. All the four wheels of the vehicle are rolling. They have been rolling. All parts are moving. So it's a complementary process that has taken place in this country.
Okay, good. Let's enter the issue of possible coalitions which could happen, because and maybe before I talk about the coalitions, can you help me understand? Do you think in 2027 we are going to have an election?
Of course, it is not the intention of Mr. William Ruto for us to have an election in 2027. He would wish to avoid that election because it will be an embarrassing election to him. It's an election that Kenyans will speak and had him a one-term presidency. So if Mr. William Ruto had the means of avoiding this, he would gladly be able to do it. And he has been calculative and is taking steps towards avoiding it. My hypothesis may be wrong, but in the fullness of time, I'll be vindicated. One, Mr. William Ruto understands that if he does not constitute the IBC, people are going to agitate. The country will become ungovernable. Chaos and anarchy will reign supreme. And then there goes. Mr. William Ruto will declare a state of emergency so that then he can be able to avoid the election. That is why we are being very calculative in the manner in which we are dealing with the situation. Remember, Parliament has been captured. Parliament has been emasculated. Parliament has become a moribund. Parliament has become an embarrassment. Parliament has become an extension of the executive. And therefore, if the executive decides that it is going to declare a state of emergency, Parliament will simply become a conveyor belt to convey that surprise to the people. That is why we are becoming very calculative and tactical, that in the manner in which we are engaging this dictator, Mr. William Ruto.
Okay, good.
So an election will be there. A time to decide must come. It's not a choice, it's a constitutional dictate. We even know the date of the election. It is the second Tuesday of August, the year of our Lord, 2027. There is nobody who can delete that. Mr. William cannot. Nobody can tunya us. It's a date and a sacred date that Kenyans gave unto themselves when they enacted the new constitution. So we are telling him, whether he decides to have the IBC or not, an election will be done.
Good. Now, maybe let me bring closer. You know, even in the world, we also have countries which they have outset their governments. In Germany, there have been issues. South Korea, there have been issues, and it looks like their government have been able to solve their issues. I want you to draw for me a parallel there, maybe hoping that you have followed that. Help me understand, why is it that in Kenya, if a government decides to become wrong, because even in other countries, governments become wrong, and some of these countries, even they are of the same age with us, so their democracies are not extremely very old. So can you help me understand, why is it so impossible in Kenya that a president cannot be ousted if he decides to become wrong? He has to be there. He has to maim people. If he has to maim people, why is it that we do not have a constitutional process for helping people against a rogue president, just like the one who we have now? What can we do?
Thank you. It is not true to say that our constitution has not addressed those issues. Our constitution has created an avenue for impeaching a president. But remember, that is a parliamentary function. And as I say, parliament was captured by the executive. Therefore, that is not an option or a route that we can follow. The only route that we can follow to take Mr. William Ruto home is the freedom of the movement, is the route of the movement that is now picking some tempo, picking some gravitas. That is one system that can take Mr. William Ruto home, and that is the streets. And I keep on saying that our streets have been constitutionalized. When Article 37 says that I can picket, and I'm picketing against the oppressive regime or the inability to be accountable, I am simply saying that my voice can still be heard from parliament, sorry, from the streets. So we are not only relying on the executive or on parliament to make ourselves and our voices heard. We are going to rely on the God-given opportunity of the streets under Article 37, as read together with Article 1, the power belonging to the people, and Article 3 of the Constitution, the ability to protect and uphold our Constitution. So, comrades, we shall not lose hope or lose our eyes from lose sight of the ball.
Yeah.
Ours is to remain together, and even if there could be coalitions, we are simply saying that the more the merrier. We understand that we cannot fix Mr. William Ruto alone. So we need partners, we need allies who are of like-minded. And during war, such as the one that we now have, any person who agrees to sail with your troops, or any person who agrees to fly with your troops, or any person who agrees to walk with your troops, becomes an ally. So any person who is identifying with the movement, any person who believes that Mr. William Ruto is the only enemy and is calling it out, that's an ally. So at the fullness of time, when the dust settles, we'll be able to agree on how government will be constituted. But does that not mean that all system will go? Any person who will join our coalitions must be a person who believes in the cause and a person who will not become complacent and prejudice the war of liberations and forget why Kenyans are dying, why the freedom fighters are dying.
Good. Okay. Bwana Wakili, this was a request which was brought by one of our person. I want you to listen and you tell me how possible it is. It was brought by one of our esteemed person from Florida. Hi, NJIRU. I see you are having your namesake on the show. Kindly ask him if he can file, or maybe you people, if he can file a petition in court, asking the court, hoping that the courts are independent, asking the court for guidance on how to file an impeachment directly by the people, which is the option other than through the elected representatives.
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. And I would wish to have a one-on-one with the person posing that question. Why? Because we currently have a petition that is pending in the High Court, where we are seeking the High Court to declare that people can conduct a referendum. The people can conduct a referendum to remove a president when all other institutions have failed. So that petition is still pending in Parliament. We are in the High Court. We are waiting to see the High Court clear and okay the process of a referendum to remove the president from office.
Okay, good. Let me briefly. I know that one you have handled. So, do you think it will be handled by this judiciary, that petition? Does this judiciary have capacity to do that?
Yes, unfortunately, Maura, we do not have any other place to go to. We still have to go to the same judiciary. And we must believe in the same judiciary, irrespective of some of the negative publicity that institution is receiving. We do not have any other judiciary. We do not have the mechanism of putting into place another judiciary other than the laid down mechanisms in law. So yes, we believe that the petition will be handled competently by these courts.
Okay, fine. I think that one is quite in order. Although many of us feel like the Kenyan Supreme Court has been like captured. Maybe can you comment on that? Or maybe that one. Do you think the Kenyan Supreme Court is a bit not independent?
I would not certainly say so with certainty.
Okay.
But it is true that some of our judges are corrupt. Some of our judges are bad people. That does not mean that the entire judiciary is bad. And that's why I've expressed confidence that we shall have the court making declarations in respect of that petition that I have told you about.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. That one is in order. There is somebody who is asking a question about ICC. I can see people are telling me I asked that one. I don't know. Have you heard of that case which there is a guy called Dr. Mkeni? I think he was trying to go to ICC. So do you maybe this issue of ICC is coming because of the deaths which are happening, especially during Maandamano and some of them? So the question which I'm asking, do you think Kenyans can return to ICC or on their own volition now?
Let me tell you that some of those things are happening. They have attained the International Criminal Court status. Like the enforced disappearances is an international crime under the international law.
Okay.
And therefore, being having attained the standards, any person, and if people are doing it, can write to the prosecutor, inviting them or him to monitor the situation that is unfolding in the Republic of Kenya. Don't you forget, and don't you be mistaken, that the Ruto Sang case was concluded. It was only dismissed, or rather, it was only withdrawn because all the witnesses had been killed. So, if ICC was to gather more evidence and more witnesses, there is nothing that stops it from proceeding with the Mr. William Ruto's and Sang's case. So, yes, actions are being taken to make sure that this issue is addressed both locally and internationally.
Okay, I think that one is in order. There is a question here from Kevin Wasonga. Let me read for you. I have just put for you in the screen. Considering the political landscape in Kenya, what do you believe are the most viable methods, and how might public sentiment and the civil society play a role in shaping these efforts? I don't know if you are able to get what he is asking. I'm just trying
I can see the question. They also want us to to evaluate that whether, considering the political situation in Kenya, what I believe are the most viable methods, and how public sentiments and civil society plays. Well, to answer to this question, I would simply say that we need to do a lot of sensitization of the members of the public. The larger cross-section of the society is one that was lied to by Mr. William Ruto. We need a serious sensitization process to remind them that Mr. William Ruto is a liar. He lied to them, and you lie again. That is to mean that civic education needs to be engaged at a very high gear, so that then we may not be in a position to repeat the same mistakes again. The public is already expressing themselves. They're already exhibiting their dissatisfaction. When we went to NJIRU to take Karongo Adhangwa senator to answer to the summons by the regional DCI, Kenyans turned against the police. The police were repassed. Equally well, when we went to Nyandarua, the police was repassed by the people. It tells you that the people are feeling the pain and they have identified with the struggle.
Okay, good. Let me ask maybe my second last question. There are some people who are asking if they can call in with some question.
I think you'll have to excuse me.
Yeah. I have two questions for you, and then we excuse you. I know you are tired, so maybe if you allow me those two questions, I'll be happy. So, can you help me understand, Bwana Wakili, now that Ruto has freezed the development, and because following up, we are hearing that there's no any development which is happening in Kenya. So, how is he going to sustain holding the country together, and there is no any feasible development which is being done everywhere? So, are Kenyans going to wait for 3 years with no development?
That's a very interesting question. And Kenyans have realized that Mr. William Ruto has no capacity to expand this economy, either through expansion of our infrastructure or anything else. Kenyans have given up in that respect. In any case, if anybody hears you saying that William Ruto can develop this country, one is becoming a laughing stock. So we understand that the only persons who are developing is those guys who are close to Mr. William Ruto, and they are developing and expanding their pocket infrastructure through the stealings and the spillage of our national resources. But we should not lose hope. As and when we take over government, 2027, inshallah, Because for me, I believe in the Constitution, inshallah. When we talk of a government, the first thing we shall do is to arrest everybody who has stolen from us. The next thing we shall do is to expropriate. We shall expropriate the properties that belongs to government, including the Western Hotel and any other infrastructure that the regime has stolen from the people. That will be one of the guarantees we'll be giving to the people at the most appropriate time, that we shall not have sympathy for any person. If Kibaki went against Moi and returned all what Moi had stolen, there will be no any other subsequent president who would attempt to repeat the same mistake. So we shall demonstrate that we shall be keen to make sure that we expropriate any property back to government. And therefore, we shall tell them that watajienjoy tu kwa muda tu, lakini siku ya mauti na siku ya kulalamika inafika inshallah.
Okay, my last question, so that now I give you a time to make your conclusion. I want to ask you about coalitions. I'm asking this one because this is what we have been discussing here. Many people here believe that in Kenya, there could be 3 probable coalitions, and I want to explain them here. There is William Ruto and his cronies. There is the people with the political experience, and maybe people are calling them like the status quo people. Kalonzo Musyoka, Matiang'i, people have started lumping them up. Then there is now this other group, which people call them like reformers, new entrants. Like now Okiya Omtata, some are putting Martha Karua there. So we are having those 3 coalitions, which people are saying. So there is William Ruto, there is the status quo, people who they lost the power from the previous government, but maybe they are challenging the government now, and now the people who are now promising change, those 3 coalitions. So do you think the latter 2, the new guys who are promising new things and the status quo can build one bad wagon so that we now go and beat William Ruto? Can we do that?
It would be very unfortunate for anybody to consider the likes of Akina Natembeya, Eugene Wamalwa, Kalonzo Musyoka, and co as status quo.
Okay.
Remember, Kibaki came from the same status quo. He was even once a vice president. He was a minister. But he developed this country. He delivered this country. So we cannot judge somebody on the basis of the aspect of status quo. We need to judge somebody on the basis of his ability to deliver what he or she promises. And of course, I would be obliged to say that there shall be no coalitions. We shall form coalitions with the like-minded persons to make sure that William Ruto does not have a second term. Even if the coalition will be a coalition of monkeys, or a coalition of dogs, or ducks, or quails, or pied crows, or cows, or sheep, that is the coalition that we shall go to. As long as the policy of those coalitions or formations is to send Mr. William Ruto home.
Okay, good, NDEGWA. I can see people are trying to see that you are tired. So please put your last word, put your last statement. Maybe I can give you 3 to 5 minutes. Put now tie up all what we have discussed, and then I will allow you, and maybe you can commit yourself that utatutembelea tena. But tie up the discussion, please.
Well, allow me to tie up the discussion by saying that we are in a struggle, and it is a struggle to liberate ourselves from the shackles of Mr. William Ruto. And that the struggle will be won by our togetherness and our resolve to remain focused and true to the callings. That is what will liberate this country. The struggle shall be won by those who will remain resolute to the process. Those will resolve not to be bought, not to be compromised, and those who will understand that the country needs to be liberated are the ones who will win this struggle. As we move on, we need as many as we can. The more, the merrier. If you are able to do something, wherever you may be, please do it for us. If you're able to come up with a program that you can help finance, that you can help us amplify our voices, please do it. It is that will win the war. Please help us to awaken the Kenyan consciousness so that we all move together to liberate this country. This war is doable. We are freedom fighters. We are fighting to liberate ourselves. We are fighting to liberate our economy. We are fighting to liberate our food security. We are fighting to liberate our education system. We are fighting to liberate our health system. We are fighting to redeem and reclaim this country. We are therefore freedom fighters who have resolved to remain true to our calling. You need to organize most of these shows when we can invite even more participants. Number two, you need to organize our visits there in Minnesota and elsewhere in the USA with the comrades in the struggle so that we can come and have a discussion one-on-one where the diaspora will share their challenges and we, the people freedom fighters, will also share our challenges so that then we can see how we can have a common meeting point. Allow me to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm always available, perhaps even after New Year, for us to keep on collaborating and discussing over these issues. May God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much Bwana Ndegwa NJIRU, na tumeshukuru sana for honoring our show. Kuna mtu ananiuliza kitu hapa, ananiuliza, would you consider to come again? It's just one of our participants.
Yes. I've enjoyed the show. Anytime that I'm needed, of course, I'll be able to avail myself. And what is the viewership?
Yeah, now we are having 107 people who are watching you live right now.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we have good viewership. Our videos get close to 2,000 views in a day.
That's
so
okay.
the information is going, and I believe this one will be one of our video, I think, which will have good viewership. There's also a lady, Shiro in Okrad, who also follows you. I know even she will also be able to broadcast what we have done here in our show. I'm sure she will be able to tell our people. So this information will be seen by many people. So na unafanya kazi mzuri. So mimi ile tu ile information watu wameniambia ni ya kwamba in whatever you do, watu wananiandikia in whatever you do usishikane na Kasongo. Kuna watu wananiambia hata Kasongo akikuletea 500 million ukatae.
What you don't understand, Mwaura, is that when I was doing this, when we were doing this impeachment for Gachagua, is that they attempted to bribe me. They came with big monies, and I declined. I am not made of that. I am not made from that clay. I am not made of that metal. I remain true to my calling and my spirit. And that is the spirit of constitutionalism and the liberation and the freedom of our people and the sovereignty of my own consciousness.
Good. Shiro Inokrad is asking if you can bring Akina Wamarwa. We can actually organize multiple streaming. So if you think like if you can also bring even the people like Akina Kalonzo Musyoka, all those people, we can host them. Tunaweza wauliza maswali. So as a link, maybe tutaongea zaidi.
Yeah, we can make those arrangements as we progress.
Okay, thank you very much, Bwana Ndegwa NJIRU. Without any further ado, I want to release you. And I tell you, God bless you and God bless your family for even for them allowing you to have this time with us. I have nothing else to ask you other than to tell you good night and God bless you and Happy New Year in advance.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Wapendwa, that was NDEGWA NJIRU. He has really engaged us. Sasa nataka kurusha link. You people, you come and react. I'm in communication with the NDEGWA NJIRU. Hao watu watakuja, so don't worry. So whoever mnataka, I will talk with him. We see if we can plan for them. So please, kama kuna mtu anataka kuingia kwa show to react, nimeweka link hapo. Please just get in and get in. So mumesikia bwana NDEGWA NJIRU. I hope he has nourished your hearts. He has talked about what is happening. So yeah, naona watu wanashukuru sana. Yeah, it's a blessing that we were able to get him amidst yeah, good. Wacha niingize marafiki. Karibuni sana. Yeah, bwana Ken.
I am still listening, but I'll not participate.
Okay, no problem, bwana NDEGWA. I want people to react, so you can listen to reaction of people based on what they have done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Kevin, react. Kevin, can you get me, please? Kevin, can you react? Kevin, I can't get you. Please, kama kuna mtu anataka kuingia studio, you just click that link na unajikuta kwa studio. So I can see Kevin is already with me, but okay, good. Kevin, how are you? How are you, bwana Kevin?
Thank you very much. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
ahead.
I'm very happy that the diaspora is doing so well in regards to what is happening in Kenya. It's not. I can get you, sir. I don't know whether you can hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. 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 So my reaction to the. I'm well, sir. I'm very well. I think I've given a lot of comments I've given a lot of comments in the comment section. And I'm glad that my brother NDEGWA NJIRU has given a very comparative analysis of what is happening in the country. And of course, I can hear you. I can hear you. It's a very good comparative analysis, of course, without pinching somebody. Without being on one side, but he has given us a reality of what is happening in the country. Okay. Sorry, I was in the StreamYard and of course in the backstage also. Sorry. So, bwana NDEGWA, that is a very good comparative or analysis of what is happening in the country. Ruto, I think it's high time that we stop calling him president, because what he's doing now is just like a layman or completely out of leadership. We cannot call him to be a leader, because abducting Kenyans, these are Kenyans who he purports to have voted for him. I saw you the other time, of course, from your region. You are campaigning so hard so that at least you can have a leader who would come in and work together with the other leaders in Kenya. But now, having been purportedly voted in, he now turns out to be the lion itself eating the fox, which is not very good for a country. All along, it has been cries. Of course, so many things are not working in Kenya. The medical facilities are not working. Of course, the Shah and Chief is the big lion in Kenya. The universities are crumbling down. More universities, you saw the other time. So many things are happening within the country. Infrastructures, of course, as you've alluded, that the cronies are building the infrastructure in their pockets. Yes, your hypothesis is completely valid, because very little is happening in Kenya. If we could rate it within a Richter scale of 1 to 10, I would give it less than 1, maybe 0.something% of what is happening in the country. We see him developing himself, Ruto himself as well. The mansions coming up, of course, you saw him showing his palatial home in Kilgoris and all that. He has so many things he's doing for himself and his family at the expense of Kenyans. Housing programs is not working. We see so many Kenyans are crying. Of course, there is high taxation. Prices of goods have gone up, but he's not looking into this. What he's looking at is the possibility of AUC, Raila winning AUC. Of course, somebody who will be celebrating his 80th. He will be 80 years by 7th of January, vying for the same. And that's why we changed tact, and then we said now we are campaigning for Mahmoud from Djibouti. If this is exactly what the Kenyan leadership can do for us. So he has failed a lot, and I would really wish, of course, my vote. He cannot get my vote, and he cannot get the vote of my family. I can assure him that. If he will get the vote of his wife, who was, of course, my classmate at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, well and good. But I even doubt that the in-laws and all that would even vote for him. So my reaction to this, yes, abductions is not something that is recommended internationally through the international laws. It's not something that we can recommend among ourselves, but it's now high time that we as Kenyans, we stand up and say, okay, you see NDEGWA and NJIRU is getting abducted. We bundle the rogue police officers who are not in uniform and save NDEGWA and NJIRU, who is our brother. I'm using NDEGWA and NJIRU in this case as an example. It can be any other Kenyan, but I'm not saying that NDEGWA would be on this. So it's something that I'm saying that it's a concerted effort. Everybody should come up. Let's be creative enough. Let's scan around our environments. If anything that is so fishy around us, let's inform each other, because I feel like the police are not on our side. The police are on the sides of Ruto. They are failing together because abductions are happening at the expense of the fact that polisi ni utumishi kwa wote. But in this case, it's utumishi to the government, but not to the common mwananchi. It's a very sad state that Kenya is in. And of course, we would make comparative analysis to our neighbors. Of course, you saw what happened in Somalia, 1992, civil wars and all that. These are just, they would come in when governments fail to do what the people really need. But we would not wish that Kenya gets to that state. And that's why we are going for peaceful protests to save our country from going down to the dogs. So peaceful protests are allowed within our constitution, and let the police do their work. Let them protect the people when they are protesting against this kind of heinous deals or heinous acts within our country. So that's mine for now. Without further ado, I will give the mic to somebody else. Thank you.
Okay, no problem about that. So, Bwana Kevin, maybe to bring you closer to what, sorry. I think I'm unmute. Gladys anasema I'm mute. Is it, can you hear me, Bwana Kevin? Okay, thank you. Bwana NDEGWA NJIRU has talked about extensively about many issues, but I want to bring to gauge out one issue, which is my takeaway, that he still feels that the judiciary can do something in Kenya. That is a feeling which he has. Maybe he has some experience of what is happening, and he feels out of the many motions which they are filing, including one which Ashley from in America was asking. I would like you to help me understand, in your own way, do you agree with Bwana NDEGWA NJIRU when it comes to judiciary? Do you think Kenyan judiciary can actually deliver for the people on crucial matters?
Bwana NJIRU has his own individual thought. I would give my individual thought in regard to this without either supporting or declining what he has said. But of course, critically, of course, we would look at the various cases that have been in this kind of in the judiciary. Some of them have been against the people. Of course, people. Of course, the intention of the people is always that the case will be, they will win again. I mean, the case. But in most cases, the people lose. Like now, the people are in the streets. So many people have been abducted. So many cases are in the court. And of course, the judiciary, as one arm of the government, knows what is exactly happening in the country. But I truly don't trust the fact that I don't trust the fact that the judiciary can vote on, or I mean, can judge or can rule on the fact that we should remove Ruto from power. That is one thing that I would really disagree with the NDEGWA and NJIRU, because these judiciaries, in most cases, they are infiltrated, they can be bribed, and of course, through his attestation, even in the previous case, he has said it in this show that some people wanted to bribe him, but looking at his ethical or professional ethics, he said, no, I have to do what is exactly required of me, and he stood his ground. So in a case like this, you would find a panel of maybe 5 or 7 odd numbers, and probably 4 of them would be bribed, or 5. So again, it may not work for the common mwananchi. It may not be for the benefit of the common mwananchi. So going that route may not be quite valid for me. The most valid way is going to the streets, and going to the streets in a peaceful way, which is enshrined in the Constitution. That's my take.
Okay, good. Bwana Kevin, allow me bring Maandamano Viva also to react. Bwana Maandamano Viva, please, can you react to what has just been discussed here for the last hour by one advocate, NDEGWA and NJIRU?
Yeah,
did you get anything?
Thank you, Kevin and NJIRU. My net is a bit low, so maybe let me just remove my video. I hope that is okay. My net is just fluctuating, so let me just remove it and see whether I'm able to showcase or pitch my points. NDEGWA, thank you, especially to see you doing the good work. And we've been waiting for you to come over and try to articulate some of these issues that we've been having. And for us, we've been in this race for more than 2-3 years. See, before elections, after elections, before Maandamano, in Maandamano, and here we are. We hope that we are not going to the new year with a lot of these issues. Kevin, I echo you and NDEGWA what they said, or what NDEGWA said, and calling him Mr. Ruto, because one of the issues that they used to impeach Gachagua, they were saying that he was not deputy presidential. And our president is not presidential. When we see things happening like this, then he's not presidential. And that's why I like what NDEGWA was saying. Ama was calling him Mr. Ruto, because if you are the president, then you need to be presidential. You need to make sure that you take care of your kids, the Kenyan citizen, because those are your kids now. You need to make sure that they are safe. You need to make sure that whatever issues that you speak about, they are done. Ukisema nimesikia like what they had a meeting with Raila huko na akasema ati abduction sisitaisha, and we've not seen anything being effective. And NJIRU, you remember what we said? President let me now call him Mr. Ruto, could have been the best president if he had followed what we've been saying, even what the Gen Zs told him. If he had followed because what else will you start arguing about? Ama utakuwa unapinga nini? There is nothing. If you do exactly what people have said they want to see, ama they want to have, hakuna kitu mtu atapinga. And I believe he had an opportunity to do it, but from what I'm seeing, And from what NJIRU and then now, okay, you two guys are having the same names. Okay, what NDEGWA was saying is that he keeps on doing, yani anatereza kila wakati, whatever moves he makes, and ni kama anatereza more. Whatever moves he makes, anatereza more. And one of the things I agree with him is that what Uhuru did, because he's the same person who told Murima, ama Kenyans, that this is not a right person and he has joined in, then what are we going to tunaenda kusema nini? Tutasema nini? Because that's what NDEGWA is asking. And even as Kenyans we asking, kama Uhuru alituambia huyu mtu ako hivi na hivi, alafu anaenda kumjoin, so then sisi wa Kenya tutafanya nini? Should we join in? No. Should we trust now Uhuru? No. So I believe as time goes by, even these leaders, and that's why maybe wakili, wherever you are seeing people are not agreeing with you, with wakina Kalonzo and wakina Wamala. It is because these people leo wakapa, but when they get an opportunity to go in, wanaruka tu ndani. And these are the things which we don't want in future. So please, when you are with wakina Wamala, wakina Kalonzo, waambie sisi saizi tunataka watu. Kama unataka kukua na Wakenya, lazima ujioshe kila kitu. Whatever we knew you, kama ulikuwa watermelon, lazima ujioshe ukweli mpaka tujue indeed you're not a watermelon. Wakina Wamala, whatever you did, I saw some people writing up wakasema wakina Matiang'i they are bully. If you are a bully, we don't want to see that. So lazima ujioshe vizuri. 2027 ama wherever the elections will be called, I'm telling you, Kenyans are educated. Kenyans wamekuwa kama they are aware now, whatever the decision they are going to make, I'm telling you, it will not be a walk in the park. Haitakuwa rahisi, hata akuwe nani, hata akuwe huyo Kalonzo. So NDEGWA, that's why people wakikuwa na views hapa wanasema saizi lazima ujioshe vizuri. You must. Saizi hata hatutafuata any party, hata kama we know parties are the ones which people, the vehicle people used to go to parliament, but I'm telling you, mtu atashika party yoyote, but whatever kitu yenye utakuwa unaongea ama kitu utakuwa unafanya yenye itasaidia Wakenya ndio itakupeleka bunge, ndio itakupatia kiti chochote. Thank you NJIRU. I believe maybe I'll leave you guys. Nilikuwa tunataka kuingia na congratulate wakili, awalete most of the guys tuongee. Mimi karibu niingie, mimi ni mtu wa Man U na game yangu inaanza, so I might leave you anytime soon. Thank you.
Unajua NJIRU Maura, what makes me sad is if somebody says that he's planning to vie for the presidency in 2027 at a time when we still have a lot of problems in the country. These problems were there before. We don't say that some of them were not there. But of course, as you vote in the next leadership, you have the prospect that he would handle one or two problems or one or two challenges. But they're the same problems, the same problems which were there during Ruto's time and Uhuru's time are the same problems, but now the magnitude has even gone up. And Ruto is trying to make it like it's like he's managing Kenya like it's his Sugoi home. The Gen Zs told him that they don't need this kind of CS and all that. But then you look at the set that he has brought in are the same people who are there. Actually, 90% of them are the same people who are with him. So he's messing up from the first thing, and then the first mess leads to the next one, and it's quite continuous. So I don't know whether it's just because somebody stole. I keep saying that this guy, the Ruto's manifesto was stolen by somebody. We need to investigate on that. Maybe he's implementing a manifesto from another country, probably not in Africa, because it's completely becoming redundant and completely messing up the country and putting us into a banana republic, which is not quite good. The economy is not working out. And looking at the fact that Kenya is at the epitome, every African country or any other country globally is looking at Kenya. When you look at Kenya, I mean the Kenyan map in Africa, I mean if you look at the map of Africa, you first of all look at Kenya. So what is that? What other thing that you can look at which is quite positive, and then you say, okay, now I'm looking at Kenya, I'm looking at the education sector, it's working. I'm looking at the hospitality, or I mean the medical sector, it's working. Nothing else is working in the country apart from the corruption. Corruption is working the best way. You understand? So the only thing is that Ruto should just go home. Let's have a fresh elections. Then we look into the fact that we need to, elect very fresh leaders who can lead us well and have the economy growing and development happening in the country.
Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate that. I can see Ashley is here. Ashley, I presented your question, so you can react. I hope you are following Bwana NDEGWA NJIRU keenly, so you can react to the whole issue holistically. Go ahead.
Hi, NJIRU and Attorney NJIRU and everybody else and our viewers. Thank you. Yeah, I had the question you asked and his answer. Actually, I wanted you to rephrase that question and ask it a different way. I know he said they have filed a petition. I didn't understand what the petition was about. Did you write it down?
No, it not say about the petition, the specific case of the petition, but it just said there is a petition. So
no, he said they filed something. It's not exactly what we are asking, but it's similar. Can you remember what he said? What kind of petition is it? Because I want to, anyway, this is what I didn't really get what the petition is about. One thing when I was
actually 1 minute, you can explain. He is foreign us. It's only that he cannot talk again because he has to take a rest. Maybe you can speak. Maybe we'll hear. Maybe in the future he can come and respond to us. But you can explain your way of thinking in terms of that. I think that would be better.
Exactly. Actually, I was going to ask, when I was growing up as a teenager, when my mom used to sit near the gate. So when we wanted to go out, if you asked her, can I go, she would say no. So we learned another thing of saying, I am going. Instead of asking, you tell. So the I am going was a better response because you just informed that you're leaving and that you left. But when you asked, you didn't get. His petition is asking. And the probability of not getting what you're asking for is high. So I'm actually saying, can you tweak that petition? So instead of asking, you go with the Constitution. The Article 2 talks about the supremacy of the Constitution. It says the Constitution is the supreme law of the Republic and binds all persons and all state organs at both levels of government. No person may claim or exercise state authority except as authorized under this Constitution. So one of the violations that, and we should make sure those impeachment violations are very limited. One of them should be that Ruto has exercised authority outside of the Constitution and use this, no person, whoever they are, may exercise or claim state authority except as authorized under this Constitution. So now, what we need the court to give us a constitutional interpretation. So instead of going with petition, go with a request for a constitutional interpretation of Article 2, Clause 3. The validity or legality of the Constitution is subject to, no, not Clause 3, but I'm sorry, where it says that we are the sovereign. Article 1, where it talks about the sovereignty of the people of Kenya. So, and Article 3 says, Article 2 says the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. So my question is, ask the court how to interpret how the people can exercise that power directly. because it says we have two options. We can exercise that power directly, or we can exercise that power through our democratically elected representatives. That means when they go to parliament and impeach, they are doing it. Those are our democratically elected representatives. But since we are not, they are captured, now we want to exercise that power they have directly without delegating it to them. So we want the court to interpret to us exactly how exercising that power directly looks like. They give us a manuscript. Then we take that manuscript and start using it. We do not need the IEBC. The IEBC is in that sovereign power where we delegate to state organs like parliament, like the national executive, the judiciary, and other independent tribunals. So since we don't have the IEBC, then we are not able to exercise that through our delegated agencies. But we have another option. We have where we can exercise it directly. The problem is the Constitution did not clearly give us a roadmap on how that looks like. So we go to court and ask them to interpret to us how exercising that power directly looks like. So since we don't want to exercise that power using our democratically elected representative through our structured government, we want to exercise it directly. We want a manuscript. So they can't say no. They can only give us a manuscript. That's another way of getting an answer, and a more likely answer, and asking for time range so that it doesn't go indefinitely. So you go to them and you ask them, give them 60 days or 30 days and say that is, and if they need more, can they tell you within what period they will make that, give you an answer on how exercising our power directly looks like. We need the manuscript because we need to start exercising our power directly to remove our representatives that are no longer representing us, so that we can exercise that power directly. So we need to know what that looks like. I hope I've explained that enough. Okay. Second, he talked about these people, Kalonzo and all those people. Kalonzo is so compromised. He's a friend of people who have stolen from us. So if we want to say that we are serious about rooting out corruption and going after people who have done us and corruption, we cannot put their friend in there. They will be compromised, they will not be able to function, and they will come there and they will practice what we call weaponized justice, because they will not go after their friends, they will go after those that are not their friends. That is why we need someone like Okia Omtata, who has he knows when you're his friend, but the constitution is supreme. We need someone whose constitution is supreme. We need someone with a work history. We cannot ignore work histories. The reason Ruto is there today is because we ignored his past. We cannot ignore that Kalonzo was supporting NADCO. He was sent there to fight for cost of living. NADCO was adding to the cost of living. He should have declined, and he did not. For that reason, I X him out. And if you choose him, you will regret. We cannot go cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle making the same mistakes. We have to stop making the same mistakes if we want a different outcome. We have to learn. The question is, have we learned? I don't feel like we have, because we are using the same methods. They are saying Kalonzo helped us in 2002. Kalonzo helped us in recently with Gachagua. So we are going to tamrudishia mkono. What did we do with Ruto? To rimrudishia mkono. So are we still not hitting our head on the wall over and over again and expecting the same, expecting a different outcome? In order to get a different outcome, we have to do what we have not done. When I look at the list of people who are arrested today, I see different names from different societies, from different backgrounds, from different tribes. That is the Kenya we need. We do not need a collusion. We need people to collude based on their policies, their values, what they believe, not because of their tribe. That we need to kill tribalism. We need to celebrate tribalism, but we need to kill it where we separate ourselves according to tribe. We need to kill that. And that is how we prosper. That is how we stop hatred from one tribe to another. Because the only way we hate each other is when one wants to be supreme over the other. We can flourish together. Today, I like that they were singing the national anthem. It says, let us unite. Na tufanye kazi kwa bidii na undugu. Undugu comes when jealousy comes, hatred comes when you feel like someone is taking advantage of you and wants, like, we are in the same country. Why can't Siaya prosper and Kiambu prosper? That prospers the whole country. We need to know that. So anyway, something else somebody was talking about, if we trust the judiciary. I'm going to give you a short story. In 2017, then NASA, when they lost, and I remember I was in discussion with someone and I was trying to tell them, go to court. And he tried to talk to their big ups and they said, no, if we go to court, just like people are arguing here, we won't win. It will be rigged against us. I asked, what do you have to lose? And they said, okay, they've agreed to go to court. I'm not taking ownership, but I pushed them to go to court. And they went to court. And they will tell you that, if you talk to Orengo, they will tell you that because he was one of them that was being consulted. Someone pushed them. They don't know that person. It was me. And they went to court and they won. So when you're fighting, you use all options. You cannot dismiss any option because you don't know where your deliverance will come from. So every option should be used, including courts. Exhaust the courts and you stay in court because one day you might find them on their right side and then you get that victory you've been looking for. We can remove Ruto without blood shed. Let me tell you, I don't think peaceful demonstrations work. The only demonstrations that work are bloody demonstrations. Those are the ones that get international coverage. You can demonstrate the whole year peacefully and nothing will move. Nothing will move. Because peaceful demonstrations do not close shops, they don't stop the economy, they don't stop anything from going on, and they don't get to the news. And in order for anything to move, it has to get to the news. It has to have world leaders calling Ruto and asking him what's going on. It has to have people shunning Ruto from inviting invitations, and that is when he will act. So we have to understand that demonstrations in themselves are only active, or they only have value when they have blood in them. My thing is that I want us all to cross over to freedom. So I would prefer we use other methods than bloodshed. And if you're going to use bloodshed, don't keep saying Gen Z. Get Gen Z, get your children, get Gachagua old, let them come and faint. That is what gets to the news, and that is what gets, when they see kids, if they shoot 5 kids that are small, that one will be in the news today on CNN over and over again. So you have to know, are we going there and are we ready to sacrifice some people? Take all your children, all of them, your grandmother, all of them to the street, people in wheelchair, all of them to the street. And that is what will get to the news, because some people are going to get hurt, and that is what draws attention. But any peaceful demonstration, show me one peaceful demonstration that ever accomplished a goal. Even the ones that were in the US during the civil rights, the only time they got to the news and the only time that action was taken is when people, like the march to Selma. The only time that march became successful is when they were shot, when they were beaten, and it became world news. So the only way you go to the street and you get a result is when you make it to the news. If you don't make it to the news, it is null and void. know that. So think about it. So if you want to get results, if you go to the street, what you need to do is invite foreigners, invite foreign embassies, invite the foreign media, invite all those embassies in Kenya and tell them, come and support us on the streets, and ask them to stop abductions. If they shoot those people, if they tear gas those people, it will get to the news. So it's all about strategy. But if you keep going there and you're saying peaceful is not gonna get you anything. And you tell me, give me an example where you've seen peaceful demonstrations that have got anywhere. None. I don't know any myself. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you actually. About so many things. And one thing that I would like to remind my fellow Kenyans, brothers and sisters, is the fact that it's a war, or it's something that we are doing for the whole country. The government has become an enemy of the people. If it were working for the people so well, then the people would not be having this kind of cries all along. From one problem to the next one to the... So it has always been rounds of problems since Ruto came into power. But again, if the president was a very good listener and a very good creative and critical thinker, then of course he would have assembled or put things together and say, okay, this is what the people are saying. What do I have to make of it? But nonetheless, he's not doing that at all. Instead, he's doing what comes from his mind. I even doubt if he listens to the so-called advisors, which I believe are just the tumbocrats in this Kenya Kwanza government. And coming to the fact, I've heard you talk about Kalonzo and of course some few leaders. This is just a cycle of the people that Kenyans don't want, because they are friends. They have been dining on the same table. If we are to talk about corruptions, of course, some of them have been implicated into heavyweight corruption cases in Kenya, and none of them has ever been. We've never seen any of them get jailed even for 1 month because of a corruption case. So this cycle is what we as Kenyans, we don't want to call it a group or maybe a set of age group, but we want to call it something that is done by all the Kenyans, the old and the young, the Gen Zs and everybody on board, that our main purpose is to remove Ruto and all his people out of power. Because if I align myself that I'm supporting so-and-so, this is not a time to support so-and-so, but you will support somebody in 2027 based on the track record. And that's why you've come out clearly that this is something that we've been forgetting. We look at the face value, but then we don't look at the intrinsic value of a person. What is it that you've done as an individual? And I hear people beating a lot of drum sets about Okiya Omtata and some few people that they would make it to be the best presidents in Kenya. I agree with that. But if you mention characters like Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka, I don't value such kind of people, because if you look at their track record, yes, you will find a corruption case. If you look at Mudavadi, yes, he had a corruption case. Wetangula, the same things when he was the foreign minister. So all these people, what we need is just a fresh blood in the Kenyan parliament as well as in the Kenyan executive, and if possible, even in the Kenyan judiciary. So in addition to this, you've really disputed the fact that peaceful protests may not give us ripe fruits at the end of the day. To some extent, yes, because since independence, people have been going, even from the times of one-party state, people have been going to the streets and all that. people get killed, people get injured and all that. But little return has been coming out of it. So if the judiciary can work it out, well and good. Let's try it out and see what can come out of this. But at the moment, our main focus is to remove William Ruto from power, and this should not be. This should not even take a year. The longest, for me, the longest it should take is just a month. Next month is just the final day that Ruto should be in the office, because unless he promises that and he does exactly what the Kenyans need, and the cost of living goes down, the university gets enough funding without segregating on anybody, the SHA and SHIF comes out to be working like the previous time when NHIF was working. Let's get roads and infrastructure being done in Kenya. Let's have development. Then now we can negotiate. We can go to the table and say, okay, William Ruto, you are working. Let's give you benefit of doubt until 2027. But without such kind of things happening, I don't see. I would not support him to continue being the president of Kenya. He should leave even by tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, Bwana Kevin, I don't see other people coming to the studio. I want to end this feed so that watu wasikute feed kubwa sana ya Bwana NJIRU. So maybe you people, you can give conclusions. I close, maybe I will come later during the day. So I want us to end. So Bwana Maandamano Viva, you can begin by giving your closing remarks so that if India NDEGWA NJIRU tuimalize. Maandamano Viva? Aya, Kevin, take over.
My final remark is just Ruto should leave power peacefully, even without being forced out of it, because it will be a big embarrassment for him. And even when it comes to 2027, the embarrassment will be bigger. So it's just high time for him to think critically and say, okay, you want me to get out? I'm out. And let him go out with all his people. Let's go for a fresh election. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I have appreciated you people for being here. You can continue following our show. It was really happy to be with Bwana NDEGWA NJIRU here. He has come and graced our show tonight or this day. And we have seen some of the comrades and generals who are in this struggle. We have seen that we are seeing him both in the streets and in the corridors of justice. And I don't think we can ignore his influence in the streets. So I'm proud of what he has done with us today. And I wish that we will be able to, or I hope we will be able to get another time with him, along even looking for other Kenyans of the same mind to come and also address us. And thank you for your patience. I will come again later during the day. Nataka niende nifanye tu vitu twingine kidogo. So I'm proud to have been with you here. My dear brothers and sisters, you are the people who are making this show what it is. And hatutawaangusha. We will make sure that we are among the people to be counted in this civil revolution which is happening in Kenya. Because the truth of the matter is that we are having a civil revolution in Kenya where people feel the need of recovering their nation from the log. And I want to say that the truth of the matter is that I feel the need of we need to recover our nation from the log. We have never had an emergency of recovering our nation than today. And the truth of the matter is that our nation, we have lost it, and we can recover it back. We just need to understand what are the good ethos, what are the good concepts to recover one. As long as many of us, we are agreeing here, we don't love corruption. We don't love tribalism. We don't love crime. Most of us here, we are agreeing. The people who are on the other side are our politicians. And our politicians will have to learn from us. A time of learning from politicians is over. we are now having a civil awakeness where raia, Mkenya wa kawaida, the silent majority is saying that they understand what is happening and they have power in their hands, and God has given them that authority to be partakers of this kingdom. And we have to take it with a lot of encouragement. So, brothers and sisters, we will keep on looking for such speakers like the one who we had today. It's my hope, and I'm glad that you had a nice show. I believe some other people will also be starting their show soon. I know maybe Shiro in Okrad will start her show. Yeah, some of us tunavukanga huko. I think Kenya Revolutionary hata yeye anaweza kuwa na show yake. I don't know. I will have to check. Yeah, we have some friendly channels where we intershare. Saa zingine naonanga Shushuruse na muonanga pale, naona huyu pale, we intershare. Yeah, and I want to thank you people for being part of this channel. This channel couldn't be what it is without you. So we honor you as the greatest people who have stood with us. Yeah, so without any other ado, our show today has ended. Thank you and shalom. Tuonaneni kesho ama tuonaneni jioni. Asanteni. Let's meet tomorrow. Bye. So reflect on those issues of NDEGWA. If you have a friend and you think NDEGWA was speaking something sensible, or you understood him, share with them. They can intershare in that knowledge. Thank you. Bye, and I'm appreciative. Guys, kuna nitakuandikia email. Lazima tusemezane. Thank you. Bye.